few months ago, I released a video in which I talked about the parts I used in my very first PC build. Through that experience, and while using the PC I built for the last few months, I learned a great deal. In today's video, I'm going to be building another video editing PC, this time for my church, and explaining exactly what I changed and why from my previous build. Let's jump in. Originally, my church was looking to purchase a pre-built machine to replace their old iMac, but I convinced them otherwise. Most pre-built machines on the market are usually designed for either gaming or general productivity, not video editing. While a gaming desktop works just fine for video editing, you are likely going to end up paying for a high-tier graphics card that isn't going to be extremely beneficial to your editing experience. Pre-builts are also overpriced and have limited configurations, making a custom build much more desirable. The total cost of my custom build was $1,113, while a similarly configured system from HP would have cost more than $1,300, not including a monitor. As usual, all of the parts used in my build will be linked below in the description. Let's start with the case. I opted for the NZXT H510 with a black matte color palette. I used this case in my previous build, and I was really happy with the cable management, airflow, and overall design of the case, especially for only $70. I also moved the pre-installed top fan to the front of the case to create a neutral air pressure. For power, I went with a 550 watt semi-modular power supply from Corsair for $80. Again, power supply availability during the pandemic was not great, so there weren't a ton of options. A quick tip when it comes to building your PC: the first thing you should install in your case is the power supply. Once installed, leave the power switch off and plug it into an outlet. This will ground your power supply and your case if it is metal. Now, each time you touch your case, any static electricity you may have built up will be discharged. I would still recommend buying an anti-static bracelet, but this method can save you a few bucks. Alright, moving on to the motherboard. My choice of motherboard was severely impacted by the pandemic, as there was hardly anything in stock at the time. My original choice was the ASRock B550 Phantom Gaming 4, but it quickly went out of stock and did not have the built-in Wi-Fi I was looking for. I eventually settled on the Asus TUF Gaming X570 Plus motherboard, as it was in stock, had built-in Wi-Fi, and was relatively well priced at $190. Unlike my first build, I did not want to go with B450 or X470, as the chipsets are older and won't have support for future generations of AMD processors. For RAM, I went with 16 GB of G.Skill Ripjaws DDR4 3200MHz memory. Ryzen 3000 series CPUs scale very well with faster memory, so I bumped the speed up 200 MHz from my original build. The $65 price tag is nearly identical to the 3000 MHz memory I purchased for my personal build, and the slight performance boost is completely worth it. I have yet to utilize the full 16 GB on my machine, so I saw no need to increase the capacity. For my last build, I went with the Ryzen 7 2700X with 8 cores and 16 threads. For this build, I am going with the Ryzen 5 3600 with 6 cores and 12 threads. While the change seems to be a downgrade from my previous build, the performance boost gained from upgrading to the Zen 2 architecture makes these chips nearly identical in performance. The price of the 2700X was also driven up to more than $300 during the pandemic, making the Ryzen 5 3600 at about $170 a much better deal. If you are also looking to take advantage of PCIe Gen 4, only the 3000 series and newer will support it. For the GPU, I stayed with the MSI Gaming GTX 1660 graphics card from my original build. The graphics card is reasonably priced at just over $200 and is adequate for the video editing that is being done, so I saw no reason to change. The card is equipped with 6 GB of GDDR5 memory, boosting up to 1830 MHz. As with my previous build, my primary storage will be an M.2 SSD. This time, I went with a 512 GB Rocket drive from Sabrent for $80. I've heard great things about Sabrent solid-state drives, and they have a much better price-to-capacity ratio compared to Samsung drives. While my 250 GB Samsung drive works just fine, it's a little smaller in capacity than I would have liked. For bulk storage, I decided on a Seagate IronWolf NAS 1TB hard drive for for $64. While this drive isn't the fastest or most cost-effective drive on the market, it makes it up with its reliability. This hard drive is designed for servers that run 24/7, so it should last a long time. I also decided to purchase an aftermarket CPU cooler to keep my processor temps down. I went with the Hyper 212 Evo Black Edition from Cooler Master, as it had great reviews and didn't break the bank at only $35. Installation was a bit tricky, but not overly complicated. For a display, I again stuck with my choice from my original build. The 21.5-inch Full HD monitor from Acer looks great and is affordably priced. Again, all of these parts will be linked below in the description. Thanks for watching this Technically production. If you liked this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more.